Are you ready to listen to a podcast?
This is TripleYourClients.com with your host, Andy Brown.
Find, subscribe, and listen.
Expert marketing advice to triple your clients today.
Now you can start listening.
Welcome to episode 59 of TripleYourClients.com podcast. My name's Andy Brown, and it's a sheer pleasure to have you on board. It's been a lazy weekend for me, feeling a bit guilty that I didn't do too much work over the weekend. Well, I didn't do any work apart from this podcast. I don't know about you, if you're a business owner, whether you feel guilty when it's time for the weekend or whether you go on holidays. If you're passionate about your business, maybe you're thinking you should be putting in some hours in over the weekend, or maybe you block off your time and you're sensible like that. And when it's playtime, then that's it. You know, you don't talk about work or you don't think about work. I do feel guilty sometimes in my business, and I try to find ways to not feel guilty. And by the time Sunday came around today, and I enjoyed some walks with the dog and cleaning out the garage and just a bit of gardening and just chilling out, the odd beer and a lovely meal with my wife, I thought, am I going to do the podcast? But I enjoy doing the podcast, so I decided, yes, I am going to do the podcast. But I thought, well, what can I talk about? And immediately came to my mind that we're now nearly 6 months into the year. We're in the 6th month, obviously, June. It's time to review what you've done. Are you being honest with yourself in so much you're measuring up to the goals you set? Are you reflecting on what you've done, feeling good about it? Or is it a little bit depressing and you're thinking, oh, what have I learned? What haven't I learned? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to change what I'm doing? There's so many things that you come to your mind when it's sort of halfway through the year. It can be panic stations, can't it? Because you're like, oh my goodness, 2015 is nearly over. I'm not going to get panicked. I'm just going to review the 5 marketing lessons I learned in 2015. And hopefully when you reflect on them, you can work out some takeaways, some strategies for your own marketing. And let's just crack on with number 1, which is about rinsing and repeating content that works. Now, back in July 2013, I recorded a very short video, 1-minute video called How to Get Your Google AdWords Ads to the Top of Google. And since then, it's averaged about 3 views a day. And I was surprised the other day when I looked at it, and the total was nearly 1,000 views and 14 hours of the video being watched. And this is obviously to a targeted audience because people would have found the video by typing in Google AdWords and Google and getting to the top of it, all these related phrases. And I'm pretty chuffed because people would have joined my list, as that was the purpose of the video, to educate people plus encourage them to join the list. And the lead magnet, the call to action at the end of the video is to join my list and get 17 mistakes on 17 mistakes you can make when you're opening up an account with AdWords. And again, like I say, I didn't know whether it would be a success in so much. I cranked it out back in July 2013, I forgot about it, and all the subsequent videos that are added to that YouTube channel are basically the podcast. What happens when I send this for production, this podcast, it automatically gets added to my YouTube channel. So you can watch it in so much as well, not much to watch, it's just a logo, but you can hear the audio in the video. And not surprisingly, because the headlines of each video are not very targeted, they're not search engine optimized based on one question, they don't get many views. That's not really the purpose of adding them to YouTube. It's basically there just in case people come to my channel and then review the videos. They're not likely to get found just in a natural search, apart from this very first video, which is based on one question someone can have about Google AdWords. So it's a real reminder to me that when you knuckle down and you think about the questions that people are asking you and you answer them in video and you get the title right and you get the description right, you do get people coming to your video every single day, and it is a real business asset because you don't have to do the work again. You are targeting these people, and like I say, it's continuous. And there's a nice graph that YouTube give you. It's a nice sort of slope upwards, and it's going to continue. And I can almost guarantee or predict rather how many views the video will have in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. And that's brilliant because I've created, like I say, an asset. And so the first marketing lesson for the rest of the year is, Andy, continue creating these assets so that you can guarantee how many people are going to be viewing your website and downloading your lead magnet in the next few years. It's a no-brainer, really, and the evidence is there. So maybe you can look at your marketing to date. Maybe there's a video that's worked for you. Maybe there's a blog post that's brought in a lot of traffic and you can see it in Google Analytics. Maybe there's some other kind of marketing that's done very well, but then you got distracted and done something else. And really, now you're looking at the evidence, you should get on with what worked in the first place. So that's number one. The marketing lesson is rinse and repeat what works and just keep doing it. And it's a no-brainer, really. And I feel a bit annoyed that I haven't been stuck to creating these 1-minute videos. But watch out, there will be many more in the future. Number two is about committing to a social media platform. Now, back in 2008, October 2008, on the 24th, actually, I sent my first tweet. And I was new to Twitter. And most of the world was still new to Twitter. Certainly wasn't mainstream back then. It launched in July 2006. And the big news actually a year later, on April 16th on 2009, so we're talking about 4 months after I first sent my tweet, Ashton Kutcher became the first person to get more than 1 million followers. So then that was when it was getting a little bit sort of more newsworthy and people sort of asking what Twitter was all about because obviously a celebrity was getting on board. But by then, that was sort of, what was that? That was nearly 3 years after it had launched, from July 2006 to April 2009. So it took a bit of time, and people were also on other platforms at the time and wondering, is it worth jumping on Twitter? Well, I committed back then to finding out as much about Twitter as I could. I was in the golf industry at that time. That's what I was marketing, products in the golf market. And I decided that Twitter was a very good product or a platform to get noticed, to create conversations with people that are interested in golf, who might be interested in what I was offering. I was also offering a TV golf show as well. So it really worked for me, but I had to commit to it. At the time, I remember I was totally on Twitter. I wasn't on Facebook. Instagram wasn't around then, but any other social media I wasn't involved in. It wasn't on my radar. It was just Twitter. And I believe even more so now that whilst there's many platforms out there, you need to really go, well, all in one or two. I mean, Facebook is almost like a default because you have it for your family and friends, although a lot of people are sort of bypassing that and just spending time on Instagram. But when it comes to business, I think more than two platforms you spend your time on is almost too much. I know the whole thing is about you create content and spread it onto the other platforms, and you can do that automatically using Meet Edgar and Buffer. But what I'm talking about specifically here is where you commit your time in so much, where you create those conversations, where you actually comment, where you create pieces that are there to introduce yourself, but also add value to the conversation. So you might be blogging on LinkedIn. You might be writing blogs on Medium now. That's a platform that's come along in the recent. Well, I remember being on a train a couple of years ago when the founder of Twitter was talking about Medium, and I kind of got it, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. And suddenly, it's almost in the last couple of months, it's blown up it's blown up to the scale that we see people sharing Medium posts all the time, and it's really taken on a life of its own. So, should you spend all your time on Medium? Well, that's a question for you, because it really is. Where do your audience hang out? Where are they having their conversations, and where can you enter the conversation that's going on in their head? That's effectively what it's all about. I remember I made mistakes in the past where I had videos. I talked about the golf show a few minutes ago, and I put all the videos on Vidler, which is a platform that you probably haven't heard of because it never really went mainstream. But back a few years ago, it was a competitor to YouTube. Vimeo was there as well, and there's a few others. Blip, I remember, so sort of four or five, and there was some software where you could post your videos out to 5 other platforms, because you're just sort of covering all options really. But nowadays it's almost like obvious that just put it on YouTube, and that's where the audience is. So there is a bit of a risk when you go all in on the platform, because you might not pick the winner, the ultimate winner, but that's just part and parcel of business. You just have to go in on one of the platforms. If you spread yourself too thin, then you won't get the quality of work out there to get noticed. That's the bottom line, really. I've got some courses coming out, and I'll be putting them onto a platform called Udemy. Udemy, is the platform which offers a lot of educational courses. People are going there. They've got about 6 million subscribers at the moment. And really, if I'm looking for people to buy courses on copywriting or AdWords, then I should be featuring on that platform. It's a kind of no-brainer. Maybe a year or two ago, when the company was just maybe 10 or 20 employees, you might be thinking of other platforms and maybe not wanting to put all your eggs in one basket, but they've just got something like $65 million in funding in the last few days, and it's, they've got like hundreds in their workforce, and it's pretty much a no-brainer now. That's a place to hang out. And these are decisions you have to make. You need to commit to one or two platforms, those platforms that your prospects are hanging out on, and then go out there and produce the conversations, get involved, and don't spread yourself too thin. We now have Periscope out there, which is obviously owned by Twitter, and that's proving to be great with artists and creative people. They're tuning in, or they're logging in, as it were, into the app a few times a day, creating real-time videos. They're entertaining their prospects. They're actually doing their work. Their craft in front of people. I can tune into different artists that I'm following on Twitter, and they're painting a picture, or they're building something, or sculpting something, and they become a sort of a mini celebrity, and it's entertainment. At the end of the day, it's real-time video. It's part of being social in so much that you can comment on what they're saying and they can answer back in real time. Now, that might be a place for you. Like I say, it does work really well if you're creative. A bit like I always say, the comedians hang out on Vine. It's a great platform that way. So you need to just decide what your offer is and where your prospects are hanging out, and decide the platform that's going to work for you. Now, the third marketing lesson I have learned in 2015 is that all social media platforms become a pay-to-play space. You can't get away from it. And we saw that at the beginning of the year with Facebook. If you want to feature, you've got to pay. You've got to get involved in the advertising, because if you organically put a post up there, then only a small percentage of people are going to see it. It's a crowded space. Facebook need to make the money to keep their their shareholders happy, and it's just a natural thing that happens. And basically, we're seeing it with other platforms. This week, Pinterest have just added their buy button feature, and we'll see how that develops. I mean, that's going to be great for people who are posting pictures up there who e-commerce shops, because they're going to obviously put buttons up there that are going to direct people to their own shops. That whole landscape is going to change. So it's like, my lesson here is whatever platform you're on, it will become disrupted. And that's typically by advertising, but it might just all shake up in a completely different way, because who knows how Pinterest is going to go now. We have these buy buttons on there. Also, Instagram this week. We talked about a few shows ago about the advertising that they've been rolling out. Well, they're now definitely rolling out to everyone. They're going to give you direct response marketing, where you can have an action button, where you can buy, sign up, or download an app. And you can imagine the targeting is going to be fantastic, because they're going to just use the Facebook out targeting, because if you don't know, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Facebook weren't in a rush to make any money from Instagram, because the first quarter of this year, they already made $3.5 billion. They weren't really in a hurry to make money, but they think the time's right now. And it was such a wonderful move to buy Instagram. Instagram at the moment gets 300 million monthly users, and on average people spend 21 minutes per day on the app. So if you can get your advertising on Instagram and it's affordable to you and you get a return on investment, then get in there early, because we're seeing that those who get in early on these platforms when they introduce advertising can really create some home wins there, home runs. So that's what I'm saying about the platforms. it's a little bit of a sad story there that it will get disrupted, and that's just the part. That's how business works, isn't it? You just got to be on your toes and watch out for what's around the corner. It does get disrupted. You might. There I am in lesson 2 saying commit to one platform, because essentially you haven't got all the energy in the world, you haven't got all the time in the world. You need to make the noise in the right platform to develop the relationships. But then you have to be mindful that that platform you commit to might be the one that gets disrupted the most, and you might get squeezed out of the market because you see all these advertisers, your competitors, who are getting more exposure than yourself, and then you might not have an offering where it makes sense to advertise. It's tough. It really is tough, and I can't give you the exact answer to what you've got to do, but it all starts with obviously looking at your customer avatars, see where they're hanging out, and making some educated guesses on, are they likely to be advertising in the next 6 months or the year? Look at Periscope. Probably won't be advertising on Periscope for a little while, because we really haven't got much advertising on Twitter at the moment. It's very high-end advertising on Twitter at the moment. You have to cough up thousands of dollars to even get into the space. It's not like small businesses can jump on it. It's not like Facebook, but one day it will be, and I'm sure with Periscope they will look to introduce advertising once they've got the model working with Twitter. And the videos they actually put on Periscope will probably be similar to the Vine videos, the 6-minute videos, and that's Vine is owned by Twitter. And then also to add to all of that, Google might buy Twitter soon. We don't know it. It's on the cards. Twitter, the shareholders at Twitter believe there's a lot more upside to the business. They have to obviously do it in the interests of their shareholders, and they shouldn't sell out to Google if there's a lot more upside in what they can do with the business. So they probably won't, but then Google might put in an offer that's so attractive they will. So by the end of the year, Google might buy Twitter, or it might happen next year. Who knows? But I'm talking about all this speculation about Vine, Twitter and Periscope, but then it might all get completely disrupted because Google buy Twitter. And look at Periscope. I'm saying jump onto Periscope, but then Meerkat, which has taken a little bit of a battering in the last few months because it hasn't got the popularity of Twitter. Certainly there's not as many video plays on Meerkat as there are on Periscope, but the word on the street is that Meerkat will get bought by Facebook. And then can you imagine that? You're going through your feed in Facebook and you're getting real-time video, and Zuckerberg's already said that nearly all content on Facebook by 2020 will be video. So I imagine he's going to be very keen to have real-time video and compete with the likes of Twitter. So for me, I find it very exciting, if a little confusing as to what to jump onto and where to commit. But yes, so number 1, the marketing lesson was rinse and repeat content has worked. And that was on good old YouTube for me. That was my personal experience. 2 was commit to a platform. And 3 was about whatever platform you're on, you've got to appreciate that it will get disrupted by advertising or maybe get bought out. It's not, if you're having a rosy time for a year or 2 on a platform, please have some backup, because something will definitely come along and knock it sideways. Number 4 is to do with writing. Now, I used to say, and I still do, that every business owner needs to be an expert in copywriting. Now, that never happens really, because copywriting, the skill of copywriting, the art of copywriting just takes forever. It's like a life skill really. It goes on forever, learning about it. But you should endeavour to at least pick up the basics so that you can produce copy that is compelling to your audience. Too many business owners couldn't write a poster or even a simple blog post or a newsletter or brochure to save their lives. I see it every single day. It's pretty depressing, to be honest with you, and that's why I've written so much about it on my own blog. But what I've learned in the last few months is that it's not so much copywriting, which is a part of writing, that I need to be writing every day. So a business owner needs to be writing every day, in so much if they got to look at their marketing and say, like, I've got 2 hours this morning and I need to be writing, and there shouldn't be any excuse. It's a hard lesson, and it's a lesson I've learned the hard way, because every day I don't write, I know I'm going almost backwards in my business because I know my competitors are writing. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's dawned on me that I've got to be writing every day. And when you write, you create an asset. And that's it. Like I say, I've got to dedicate 2 hours of my day to writing. And of course, client work for me is very important, but they say that the energies that you have, the energy in your body, is at a peak between hours 2 and 4 after you wake up. And so it makes sense. That's the time I've got to be writing, and then I can do my client work after that. And it all boils down to the fact that content marketing is a major play now in marketing. And we're seeing conferences, and we're seeing more and more activity, more and more lessons being learnt, more case studies. And I'm very excited about one conference that's happening this year in September in Edinburgh. The Content Marketing Academy have their own conference. It's the second conference, and it will be in Edinburgh. And their keynote speaker is Marcus Sheridan. And Marcus Sheridan's taught some great lessons over the past few years based on his own experience. He has a shareholding in a company that creates swimming pools, and basically he was in rocky patch a few years ago when the recession came along, and he dug himself and his company out of this hole by effectively answering every single question a potential swimming pool buyer had. And it wasn't a complex marketing strategy. It was just writing one post about every single question that they had. And it's done amazing. It's done amazingly well from this attitude, and just dug in deep and produced all these articles on swimming pools. So what I'm saying to you here is, are you adding content every week? Because although I'm saying write daily, you could be drafting up quite a long post. At the moment, I'm writing a post about different pricing for using AdWords consultants. It's going to be a very long article. Hopefully it'll be the go-to article online. And that's not going to happen just in one day. I've been writing every day over the last few days, 2 hours a day. And so hopefully I will produce that article in the next few days. And that's what I'm saying to you. You need to be creating this content that you can use as an asset for the future, because you're answering questions. And you can learn more about the whole way that content marketing can aid your company, how it works, the benefits, at this conference in Edinburgh. And it's going to be on the 3rd and the 4th. On the 3rd, Marcus Sheridan will be doing a masterclass, and on the 4th is the whole conference where Marcus Sheridan will be doing the keynote, and then there'll be 4 other speakers. If you want to learn more about it, please head over to tripleyourclients.com/TCMA. That's short for the Content Marketing Academy. So tripleyourclients.com/TCMA. And also you can put in a discount code where you get 15% off, and the code is AVIP15. So it's AVIP15. And that will give you a 15% discount. If you don't see that happen when you put it into the Eventbrite page, then please let me know, because it should, and I'll make sure it does for you. But that's a very good conference, and it's just one of many that are happening around the world. And there's some very skillful people like Mark Sheridan who have been there, they created the content and turned around their businesses, and now they're helping others by talking about it. And that's what he'll be doing in the masterclass, where he'll give you a better understanding how content marketing works and the benefits you can achieve by answering questions. Many of the time, a business can be a little bit of a boring business, and a business so boring that you struggle to actually put too much content out there that's really exciting, and it's not going to get shared. And I can, Marcus says it himself. He says you can live with that. And what you should really do is just plug on with creating the articles that answer the questions, because there's bound to be 100+ questions that need to be answered that someone's being asked, that they're asking daily on Google when they're searching. And that should be your marketing strategy. And don't get caught up in trying to create lots and lots of content that really isn't going to get shared. And, you probably get a little bit depressed and fed up with it all, because you're really going down the wrong rabbit hole. The where you should be going is sitting down and applying yourself and writing every day to create excellent content that your sales and marketing teams can use to aid your prospects in their buying process. Effectively, you put it out there that here's the answer to your question, and naturally they see you as a trusted resource and the authority on the subject. You don't need to talk about how great your company is. You just need to answer the questions. That's all you need to do. So 87 days to go to the Content Marketing Academy conference in Edinburgh on the 3rd and 4th of September. Highly recommend it. Please check out tripleyourclients.com/TCMA. And that all goes together in my 4th marketing lesson, which is all about writing and the merits really of content marketing. If you look in Google Trends, which is always a good resource to working out whether your business is getting more popular or less popular, if you put in content marketing, it's like a ski slope as it goes up and up and up over the last few years. It really is where a lot of attention is being put. For any knowledgeable business, really, it's understanding how the whole world of marketing is changing. Content marketing is really something you need to get on top of and understand how it works. And that this conference will give you that knowledge, definitely. So, number 5, the final one of my 5 marketing lessons I've learned in 2015 is have a list. That's a bit basic, isn't it? Have a list. It's not really a lesson, but and it's almost a cheat. Why is he talking about a list? He always talks about that. It's not something he's learned anything new from. Well, I want to mention it because the list should always be at the front of your mind, but I've learned that sometimes it's not so easy to do, and you need to always be inquisitive and testing to find out ways to build a list. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit more what I mean. A few years ago when I was building my golf business, it was, I wouldn't say easy, but it was easier to build a list because the costs for different words related to golf is a lot cheaper than it was now. And I could actually get a return on investment, plug a lot of money into Google AdWords and create a list fairly quickly. Thousands of people every month going into my list. Now it's a little bit different. And if you're a small business, you're not in the same sort of field there. You're not going to be doing the same thing. You're looking for maybe tens or hundreds of people joining your list every month. It just depends what your market is, but you need to automate it, and you need to understand that your audiences are changing, they're hanging out to different places, and you might have to be quite creative to find the people that are going to join your list. For instance, I've got a few books on Amazon. I publish them on Kindle, and I created a system there where people are getting the free book on Amazon, and there's a giveaway from the second book I publish, and they're joining the list that way. It's a little automated system. It's not really directly related to small business, but it's just a simple system I've set up to get people on board onto my list. And what I'm saying here is that you need to create a way that you can do the same sort of thing. You can actually get people joining your list if you look at where your audiences are hanging out and you offer content that maybe is a little bit different to what you've done in the past. Now, the old way used to be, let's put up a little box that said, join my newsletter. Now, unfortunately, people aren't joining newsletter lists anymore, in so much that's what they're going to get, information on your business and nothing more. They just aren't going to join if that's all you're offering them. If you're saying, join this newsletter, unfortunately, that isn't the way the world's working anymore. So if you have that on your website, I really, really do encourage you to revisit that and change it. One way to change it is to actually offer a 5-day course. I'm shortly going to be offering a course on my website. I do offer a report at the moment as a lead magnet. It's okay, but it will improve. My sign-up rates will improve when I offer a course, a 4 or 5 day course on setting up an AdWords account. If you can do something similar in your industry, in your business, a course that sets someone up, empowers them to make a purchasing decision, or just empowers them to be more knowledgeable in your topic, then go for it. All it has to be is 5 daily emails, 1 a day or 1 every 2 days, that educates them. Maybe include some images in there, but really offers them some value. You hold their hand. There's more value in offering a course than there is certainly joining newsletter or generally when you offer a lead magnet. That's been proven over the last few years, and particularly, like I say, in the first 6 months this year when I've been reading about case studies. So really do encourage you to carry on building your list, but just be more creative in the way you're building it. I just mentioned my Amazon case study, and I had to be a little bit creative there to find out where's the audience hanging out, where they're searching for words that related to a side project that I've got, and then how do I get them to sign up? What can I offer them? Likewise for you, if you've got blog pages out there, look at your Google Analytics, you've got some popular blog posts. What can you offer at the end of your blog post that can enhance their experience having read the blog post? Is there further content you can offer in the form of a report? I just said don't give out reports, but what I mean by this is if you've got an article which gives you 5 or 10 tips for the prospect on how to do something, and it involves maybe some technical products, and you mention briefly maybe a few products, but you say at the end of it for a full buying guide for the different, maybe it's electrical products to whatever the service is that they can buy, you can offer that as a buying guide, and it might be a 10-page PDF document, but people are more likely to sign up to that than they are for your newsletter. Now, it's a lot of hard work because you've got to go for each post. You can't just offer the same buying guide to every single blog post. It just wouldn't make sense. But you need to analyze the mindset someone has as they're reading the blog post, where they're looking for more information, what areas you touch on, and then decide, okay, for a better experience, we're going to offer another PDF with more information. We're going to give it a good image, and we're going to create a nice little box where they can sign up. You'll get more sign-ups if you don't ask for the name, just ask the email address, but some people like to ask for the name. But like I say, if you just ask the email address, you will get more sign-ups. And you go from there. And if that works, you just carry on a bit like my marketing lesson at the beginning, rinse and repeat. You just go through all your other blog posts and see if you can offer more content. They call it content upgrades. Nothing more than that. Basically, you're upgrading them to the list by offering content. So let's just go through the 5 lessons I've learned in 2015. Just recap them. Number 1 was rinse and repeat what works. And by that I mean, review what's worked in the last 6 months. Something might have sort of gone past you and you really haven't taken on board the success you had. Like it could be like a one-off video like I mentioned at the beginning. And you might sit back and go, right, let's just double up on that, concentrate on that. And that's proven to work. And we don't need to be looking for any other strategies. Crack on with that. That's what I've learned to do. Sometimes you can look at all the different shiny objects out there and you're looking for something new, but what's working is staring you right in the face. So definitely check out what's worked for you in the past 6 months and then repeat it. Number 2 is commit to a platform. We talked about all the different platforms and too much choice and then different companies buying other companies and where do you put your energies. And ultimately you've got to choose one and just go for it and use it in a social way. And you will create the quality connections that you're looking to do via social media rather than just automating it across lots of platforms. Number 3 was the fact that whatever platform you choose will get disrupted by advertising. Marketers like to ruin everything, and that does include these social media platforms. And there's news this week. I talked about Pinterest and Instagram. A lot going on there. How's it going to get disrupted? And I just really needed to remind you, particularly what happened with Facebook at the beginning of the year, that you just got to be, you can't sit on your laurels. You can't actually get too confident. You just got to be mindful of what's going on and just make intelligent decisions because things are changing. These platforms do take on advertising. It doesn't happen immediately, but you just got to be mindful. If one company is owned by another company and you know that previously introduced advertising and it's the same team working on the new platform that's just come out, you just got to be like, okay, what's going to happen in the future? Is it worth me getting involved? Do I just work to a point and then move on to something else? You just got to be smart about it. Please get back to me if you find anything that interests you, but you're not too sure. Then maybe I've got a heads up on what's going on behind the scenes to a degree. I mean, I just listen to a lot of podcasts basically, and talk to a lot of different people in the marketing circles, but no one person obviously knows it all, and there's no guarantees, but maybe I can help you with some insight. Number 4 was about writing daily, and I did mention the Content Marketing Academy conference in September, the 3rd and 4th. Definitely check that out at tripleyourclients.com/TCMA. Discount code AVIP15 gives you 15% off. And number 5 was list. The importance of a list was a marketing lesson that is always there, should always be mentioned, because the list is always so important. Just to be more creative and to understand about content upgrades, and maybe offering a course rather than a lead magnet to your general audience on your homepage will be more effective than your daily newsletter, your company newsletter, because news really isn't that interesting to most people from your company. So hopefully that's been of value. Didn't have any iTunes reviews in the last week, sadly. If you would like to leave a review, please go to tripleyourclients.com/iTunes, and I will mention your company next week. If you do that, I'll be very appreciative of that. Reviews, as ever, are so important. But until next week, please take care, enjoy your business, reach out if you've got any questions, give me some ideas what you want me to talk about. Take care, and as ever, enjoy yourselves.
Have you ever wished you had more visitors to your business website? Where you switch a button and instantly benefit from a steady, consistent stream of new potential clients and customers. One such proven way to do this is by using Google AdWords. Unfortunately, many businesses fail to take advantage of this opportunity, make huge mistakes, and waste their marketing budget. This is why I recommend you head over to tripleyourclients.com and grab Andy's free 44-page report on the 17 ways to maximize your Google AdWords ROI today. Simply enter your name and email on the homepage to have full access to Andy's special report within seconds.